I'm Dave Poland, and the host of a new talk show called Portland Film Beat. It's a show about the local film market here in Portland, and where I hope that we connect directors, writers, and producers with the community and with other directors, writers, and producers. My first guest is Luis Garcia.
Thank you for having me.
Yep, and so tell us a little bit about yourself, Luis. Where you're from, your training.
Well, I am originally from New York, Poughkeepsie, New York, born in Buffalo.
Oh, okay.
And I had my training at first in Florida, but it was my first time out of the house, so didn't take that very seriously. So my parents put a kibosh to that and brought me back home. And I went to school at Marist College, right in Poughkeepsie, and that training program for radio, TV, film didn't have a lot of hands-on, and I was looking for kind of hands-on. They focused on theory. So I left that program and went to a more hands-on program at a state school, and that was SUNY Dutchess, and they had a media arts communication program. And then from there I was able to get a really cool internship with Lee Daniels, who just directed The Butler in Harlem, and then I went to...
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Is there any other projects he had done that you were involved with?
He had done Precious, and I worked on Shadow Boxer when he was about to direct that one. And then I went over to intern with a casting director. His name was Grant Wilfley, and he was in charge of all the New York-based productions that would come in, like The Departed and Capote and Third Watch and Law and Order SVU. So I got to work as a background casting associate and casting assistant on those shows, which I got a lot of training that way, working as a casting. Got to see a lot of really cool sets. So met a girl who had Portland ties. Her family was out here, and 2006 we moved out to Portland. So I figured it was close enough to LA, and without actually being in LA. And I heard there was a film community out here, so we went ahead and made the big move.
Good. So what first got you interested in film?
Well, that's a good question. My father, I'm the youngest of three boys, so my father would constantly take us to the cinema. My mom worked nights as a professor, and so my father would take us to like the early show, the 5 o'clock show before she got out of work. So he took us to all the greats. I remember seeing Wrath of Khan, as a kid. I remember standing in line for Superman 2. But the one that really got me was E.T. as a child. Mm-hmm. It's the first time my heart was ever broken into a million pieces, and I was just captivated and kind of hooked ever since then. So definitely my father's influence in movies like that from the 80s.
Mm-hmm. So tell us a little bit about your current project. You just finished shooting it, right? But it's in post-production?
It's about to go into post-production. We are done shooting. We do have a few pickups to do, which is common when you're done.
And the name of this film is going to be?
It's Beach Knoll Road, which is an actual road that's in the Hollywood Hills. And that's the name of the project. And you want to know more about it?
You bet.
Okay, great. So Beach Knoll Road is a story about a filmmaker who is about to give up on his career. He experiences some traumatic events, and then he has a movie that he's trying to get off the ground, and nothing's happening with it, and he kind of goes into a deep depression. So what he does is he decides to go to LA as a last-ditch effort to kind of get his movie going, but what he's really doing is going to say goodbye to all of his dreams and aspirations, but actually ends up reconnecting with some old friends and some of his present friends, and they kind of deal with these circumstances together.
Okay, so you wrote it, directed it.
Mm-hmm.
Did you do the whole auteur thing and act in it as well?
Yeah, well, the story is based on an experience I went through trying to get another feature film here in Portland made, Eulogy for James. I've been trying to get that off the ground for quite some time, and it just wasn't happening. And I had gotten talked into doing a crowdfunding campaign, which I did not want to do. Crowdfunding being you put your film on a site, on a website, and just send it out to the public, and hopefully the public will in return give you donations, and that's where you get your money from.
Okay. So Beach No Road is a film about the difficulties you had in trying to get Eulogy for James made.
Exactly.
Okay.
So
But you got Beach No Road made.
Right.
And not
right.
Eulogy for, that's kind of interesting.
So what we did is we made the film that we could make.
There you go.
And
Yeah.
not the film that, obviously that we couldn't make. So it's basically about the struggles of making a feature, and but we're also dealing with a lot of other themes in the story as well, which we'll get into later. But I actually experienced this, went to LA as a last-ditch effort, and it just wasn't happening. I had helped a lot of other local and not so local crowdfunding campaigns get off the ground. I figured it would be really easy to get my funds, but we ended up not making much money. So it put me I was in a really strange place in my personal life and in my filmmaking career, kind of like at a fork of the road scenario.
Right.
So in the back of my mind, I just kind of wanted to go to LA to kind of see the landmarks and kind of give up on everything. But it ended up, I connected with a really good friend of mine and producing partner, Douglas Downing III, and with my current producer, Amber Smith. Just some conversations, we decided, what could we do here if we can't get the movie we want to make done? What can we get done? So the Beach No Road story, that's just about my experiences. I wrote a script in 11 days and sent it off, and within 4 weeks we were filming in Los Angeles and in Portland.
So who was the producer of this?
Amber Smith and Douglas Downing III is another producer, and I'm producing as well.
So are there local actors that people out here in the community might identify or be able to know? Can you list a few of the key actors
for
in
sure.
the film?
We have Patrick Green.
Okay, I know.
Is playing a filmmaker named Brandon Cook, who's kind of like a concoction of some of the filmmakers I've met in my lifetime. We have Kyle Wise, who's playing a friend of mine named Cash Sullivan. He's kind of playing himself. The interesting thing is we wanted to do a really kind of naturalistic cinema verite / mumblecore. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that. It was a film movement back in the early 2000s where it relied heavily on improvisation and using traditional actors and non-professional actors, and they use outlines. We had a script, and so we basically used the people that were involved in the scenario basically played themselves. Like Douglas plays Douglas, Amber plays Amber, and I play Luis.
Okay. Describe the appeal you think your film will have to the local audiences and audiences worldwide, if that so it happens.
The themes I think are very universal. We're dealing with themes of success versus failure, fear of failure. We're tackling all kinds of different subjects, tackling subjects on drug and alcohol abuse. We deal with the subject of suicide as well.
Oh, really?
Not from any of the main players, but that's kind of one of the underlying things that happen to kind of get the story going. And I think it'll appeal because everybody has a dream. Most people pursue their dreams for years, but there always comes that moment when you have to realize, am I going to continue going down this path? Especially in my case, someone who's married with 2 children. There's not a lot of money in independent film. When eventually you're gonna, stop doing what you want to do, which is what versus what you have to do. And so one of the questions that's asked in the story is, when do you give up your dream before it becomes kind of an embarrassing thing?
Yeah.
So I think that'll appeal to a lot of people. Plus
Oh, I think so, because I think as a creative artist, and I know I've had those same feelings.
Right.
Many times, I think we all do. I'm pretty sure that listening to interviews with some of the A-list actors, they go through the same thing.
Right.
So I think it's kind of one of those things we all just have to keep pushing through.
Definitely.
Keep pushing through. It's one of the struggles of being a performing artist.
And then there's also, I definitely agree with you, there's also the whole personal life that starts to kind of weave in with your film life, and that's what happens in Beach No. And the experience I went through was things on a personal level really started to interfere with film, and then eventually it just kind of snowballed into this whole, what do I do next?
You must have a very supportive wife.
Oh, I definitely do.
Okay.
I have a very supportive wife and an awesome network of friends.
Okay, good. Well, we talked about, what's going on in some of the characters, but one of my questions was, what emotions do you feel your film brings forth in viewers? And we discussed that uh, striving, even though every day it seems like you face failure.
Right.
Can you tell me, what do you think are your film's strengths, and then again, maybe some of the weaknesses in it?
My films overall, or you mean with
This one.
with this one?
Beach No Road.
I think the strengths definitely come from the team that I had. We kind of hit the ground running. We have a beautiful beautiful cinematographer who is able to really capture really awesome images.
And can you give him kudos right now?
Oh yeah, Nathan Coltrane.
All right, nice, okay. And what kind of camera?
We use the Blackmagic 2.5K RAW,
Okay.
which is a new camera from Kodak that you're able to shoot in the RAW format and really manipulate the image in post. So that's definitely one of our strengths. We had a very patient production team.
So did you have an independent sound person too?
Yes, Daniel Smith, who's well known in the Portland area as
Okay.
our sound guy. And then for weaknesses, you could always use more in terms of funding, and then there's always in terms of locations, meeting permits for locations and things like that.
Absolutely.
We're also
Did you steal locations?
we did some guerrilla stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely downtown
Got
LA.
to, right?
There's a lot of fun. There's a really fun sequence in downtown LA where we were shooting guerrilla. So I'm glad that I didn't decide to do that first. It's got an ensemble cast of 15. So basically, we're going to need a lot more resources to get that off the ground. So the plan is eventually to get that back going. Mm-hmm. But until that point, I'm going to work within my means to get the stories out that I can. But yeah, that's my dream project. So
Okay.
we'll have that.
So do we have clips of Beach Knoll Road? You'd like to maybe show some pictures?
We do. I'm not sure if they've been rolling or not, but
So what's next for you?
So next, after we get Beach Knoll, out of post, we're going to try to, get distribution and hit up some festivals. I am working on a few other projects. One of the ones I got asked to be on the production team of a really heartfelt project named Fighting Heart, and it's about a young man who is no longer with us. His name was Jason DeBusk. He was a football player, high school football player, involved in a football team down in Texas, who was given a very short time to live. He was diagnosed with cancer, and so he really wanted to make an impact with his time left.
Right.
So I'm working on that project.
Is that a local written directed?
Yeah, the producer is in Washington, in the Vancouver area, and I met her through another friend. Her name is Katie Eastman, and right now it's an active development, that project. And then working on another feature film with my partner in crime, Douglas. It's a crime drama about two guys from opposite sides of the fence that find out that they're related, that they're half brothers. So we're doing that drama mixed with crime element as well.
Okay.
But,
so how do you work with actors? Because different actors, they, as an actor myself, we all have a different approach to our work, and we all love taking direction from actors, but each actor sometimes you have to work individually with. But overall, generally, how do you approach working with actors?
That's interesting that you asked that, because I don't, I'm relatively new to the directing side of things. I've only been directing since 2010. Mostly before that I was mostly a writer and producer. So I feel like I just got this style, and it's basically letting your actor act. not trying to micromanage them. So basically, you're not trying to connect those emotional dots for your actor. You're letting them do their job. So what I try to do is give my actors a lot of freedom, ahead of time, prepare them for who this character is through long conversations.
Okay.
What their background is, what their motivations are. And then in the scene, I just kind of like to sit back and see what they can bring, what they bring to the table. And ironically enough, with Beach Knoll Road, I was dealing with some professionally trained actors.
Okay.
And then some that were playing themselves. And I try to do that same approach. Woody Allen is quoted as saying that the best directing he's done is when the actors do all the work. So that's kind of how I try to do it.
I think sometimes directors can, in my experience, kind of throw, mess things up a little bit.
Right. Over directing, micromanaging. There's the and I've done it too when I first started the dreaded line read. Well, you need to say it like this.
Yeah.
Well, what you need
that's
to
really avoidable. You should avoid that one. I think.
Exactly. So what I try to do now is make it very natural. And that's based on research in films and kind of studying this whole naturalistic mumblecore approach to things, studying people that are really good in that field, like the Duplass brothers, who just did Cyrus, and Jeff, who lives at home, who give their actors a lot of breathing room. And that's what I'm trying to adapt, and that kind of style as well, and not micromanaging, letting them do their job, which is to act.
Right, okay. So on the tailing that, how do you work with the cinematographers? Because really, the film is made, I believe, the director has to work really close with actors and also with the cinematographer on what angle he wants.
Right.
Of course, with the lighting person as well, but what kind of lens you want to use. Do you want to use a wide lens to get a softer feel? Right. Or a long lens to get a closer feel? So how do you work with the cinematographer?
The first thing I do is, with Nathan, gave him a lot of movies to watch that I wanted a similar feel for.
Okay, yeah.
Assigning just, we had a list of 10 movies that I really kind of want this kind of feel. And then basically letting him kind of do his job, run with it. Letting him know the tones that I wanted and the kind of, overall feel of the emotion of each scene. And then kind of letting him do his job. I don't pretend to be very well versed in the technical department. And so being honest with him and letting him do his thing, and that's with any cinematographer, and just basically we have a really good, collaborative relationship that way.
Wow, that's awesome to hear. So what is your favorite part of filmmaking?
My favorite part of filmmaking? That's a good question. I would say writing is my favorite part, because you're really setting up the whole tone pretty much for your story and the way you're going to attack it. And I started, in the filmmaking aspect as a screenwriter, as a writer, and I feel most comfortable in the writing seat.
So you plot everything out and then write it, or do you just know your beginning, know your end, and attack, or go right in?
Normally, I don't plot everything out. Normally, I have an overall plot, and I kind of let the characters decide what's going to happen next.
Okay, good.
When I've tried to be really, disciplined and outline things like that, I have kind of like a harder time. And then there's like some assignment writing where I'll get hired or asked to do a writing gig for someone. That's more when I'll do more of the outlining. But when it's something original, I tend to just jump in with both feet and let the characters decide what's going to happen. Okay. Also using the structure, the Act 1, Act 2, Act 3 structure, but good. Also having a lot of fun with, how A meets B.
Excuse me. So, since you like to write, tell me, what is your favorite screenplay as far as the writing?
My favorite screenplay as far as the writing? Definitely Shawshank Redemption, that Frank Darabont wrote, based on the Stephen King mini story, was definitely an awesome script to read, an awesome movie to watch. It's one of my top 5 because they used traditional storytelling, voiceover, narration, things like that.
Film.
My favorite film probably to this day would be Empire Strikes Back. That's the episode 5, I believe, the Star Wars,
Mm-hmm.
because it has all the elements of a good story. You know, it has the fantasy, sci-fi, romance, betrayal, friendship, and you're basically taking characters that you fell in love with the first time and putting them through some really hellish situations. So
Really?
that's
Okay.
one movie that I always go back to as far as storytelling.
Genre that you relate to more?
I definitely like the comedy drama genre, which is not really
Tell us a film.
a film. Oh my gosh, there's so many comedy dramas. John Hughes movies, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, 16 Candles, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Okay, yeah, I get it.
Had a lot of comedy, but also had elements of drama. And any kind of movie that can have you laughing 1 second and crying the next is something that I identify with, and I try to tell my stories in a similar way, because it's life. I mean, life is full of good times where we're laughing, and not so good times as well, where there's sad things that happen. So that's a genre I definitely like.
Do you emulate any other directors as far as camera work, angles, things like that?
Not camera work and angles. No.
No.
It would definitely be storytelling style.
Okay, so is Beach Knoll Road a little bit a comedy drama?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah,
Okay.
there's some funny moments, and then we tackle some pretty heavy subjects as well.
Okay.
So I would like to think of it as a comedy drama, definitely.
Okay. Where do you hope to see yourself in 5 years, and then again in 10 years?
In 5 years, I would love to see myself, still in film, and hopefully, the ultimate goal is to be on a writing staff for television, and then maybe run it, do it as a showrunner, having my own network television show would be awesome. And then in 10 years, same thing. As long as I'm working in some capacity of storytelling,
Cool.
I'll be happy.
Do you have any advice for someone trying to get into being a filmmaker?
Any advice? I would definitely say stick to your guns, trust your gut, and definitely have a unique perspective. Any kind of perspective as a filmmaker is awesome, and it would be unique because it's told from your eyes. It's not about being the best director, about being the best storyteller. It's about being unique and having a perspective. So
There you
definitely
go.
sticking to your guns. And I don't know what it is about filmmaking, but you're going to hear, whatever story you decide to tell, there's going to be people lined up around the block thinking that they can tell the story better.
Sure.
And it's really not about that. It's about being unique and telling the story from how you see the world. So I would tell anyone that wants to get into filmmaking, let people know who you are. Let people know how you see the world and how you see, laughter and how you see sadness and relationships, and that, stick to your guts, because you will find an audience. You will find someone that wants to hear what you have to say.
I want the show to be out there to help people who want to make films and
Right.
aren't. What do you? And here's the thing: is a lot of times people are waiting to write the best script,
Right.
get the best camera crew, the best sound. What do you have to say to that?
I would say it's never going to be the best circumstance.
There you are.
You're gonna do the best thing you can do is use what you have.
There you go.
Find people that you like to work with. And then the flip side of that, I will say this, find people that like you, because
Okay, yeah.
as much as I love my team, I'm sure that I get on their nerves at certain points. So you have to have a real symbiotic kind of circle going on.
Okay.
So it'd be nice to have the best camera equipment, sound gear. It'd be nice to have a well-polished, amazing script. But if you wait around for all those things to kind of fall into place, it's not going to happen.
Okay.
You got to jump in with both feet. You got to get dirty.
Okay.
So that's my advice.
Where can readers view your films and learn more about you?
Well, if you go to my Facebook page, which it should pop up here.
There it is.
There it is. All right.
you are.
Look at that. You can find out, I'm pretty regular in my posts on Facebook.
So should they message you through Facebook, possibly?
Oh, no, they could. If you want to message me, it would go to ponderallproductions@gmail.com.
Okay. Can we get that up? There it is.
All right.
We're going to leave that up there for a few minutes so
Great.
people can.
And if you want to learn about any of my projects, support any of my projects, learn what I'm up to. Also, my Twitter, I'm starting to tweet a lot more. So my my Twitter handle, see, I'm even saying it right now, is @AspiringLuis.
Okay, I think he's going to put that up on the screen too
cool.
for you. There you go. Yep.
Yeah. And so I'm always tweeting about what I'm up to,
Okay.
what projects I'm working on. And then Facebook also has the Beachnell Road page, and it's facebook.com/Beachnell
Okay.
Road.
So I'd like to say to people that Luis does a great job directing, writing.
Thank
and,
you.
We'll see about the acting here in a little
Oh,
while
yeah,
on
definitely.
Beachnell Road, yeah. And if you'd like to support Luis, I'm sure he'd love it. Please email him at ponderallproductions@gmail.com. And also, if you'd like a question for me, what I would like you to do is go to Facebook and like Portland Film Beat. And if you do so, you'll get all the updates. You'll see Luis's picture out there and information about how to get in contact with Luis. Future directors, writers, producers, and actors who are on the show, we'll also have them featured on the Portland Film Beat Facebook page. You can also contact me through portlandfilmbeat@comcast.net. That's Portland Film Beat, one word, @comcast.net. And anyway, Luis, we're right at about 30 minutes, and it's
Awesome.
been a great time.
Thank you so much for
Thank
having
you for
me.
having me on the show, for
welcome.
being on my show. And we'll have you on again when we find out you got some more production
Awesome.
productions going on. So
Thanks for having me.
thank you, everybody, for being here.
Have a good night.